Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for this interview opportunity. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the results so far, and pretty happy about the reviews so far of the new album. I'm looking forward to our tour, so everything is cool.
Yeah, man, and you have reasons to be happy. Hail to the King is a brilliant album. It will be released in the middle of November, I think, 15 or something like that. How do you describe that album to your fans?
It's the baby of it's if Whitesnake, Deep Purple, Rainbow, and Led Zeppelin would have a baby on steroids.
Yeah, man, that looks like a very good description. I mean, I think it draws a lot from influences like Whitesnake and Led Zeppelin, as you had said. How did you approach blending those classic sounds with a more modern touch in this album, and making it a Voodoo Circle album?
First of all, whenever I write a Voodoo Circle song, I write it for myself because that's the type of music I love to listen to. That's the music I grew up with, and unfortunately, bands like Rainbow, Led Zeppelin, Whitesnake, they are not existing anymore, and like they used to, or not at all. And so I'm doing this because I enjoy this kind of music, and I can't find an alternative to those bands. And and if somebody says this sounds like Whitesnake, I go like, yeah, yeah, it does, and that's what I want. It's exactly what I want. We don't want to be something new. We want to sound like Whitesnake, Rainbow, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin. And I spend a lot of time whenever I write a song. I spend a lot of time by tweaking the guitar sounds, finding the right amplifier, the right guitar for the song. I always try to give the song the guitar it is asking for. You know, um, you can play a really heavy Whitesnake riff in the still of the night, for example. You can play it on a Fender Strat, but it wouldn't sound right. You know what I mean? So I always come up. I have many guitars here, and I spend so much time just into little details. Uh, and but that's the fun part. It takes hours and hours and hours, but I just love it. And this time, I mean, you just said this is the first Voodoo Circle album you've ever heard. You should
Yeah,
listen to the other ones, man. I'm telling
I will. I definitely will,
you,
man.
you should, you should. But this one is probably the most heaviest one from the production and from the guitar sounds. It's probably the most heavy uh, record so far.
Yeah, and you were talking about the guitars for each album. I mean, it's very versatile from what I could hear in terms of guitar usage. How do you do that? I mean, how do you go? You listen to a guitar and just like, okay, this feels right, this feels wrong.
Exactly. This is exactly what I'm doing. This feels right. This feels wrong. Is it inspiring me? Is that the sound? The song is been evolving to a next level. I'm telling you, this takes so much time, and sometimes you can get lost pretty easily, you know.
Mhm.
But on the other side, it's just a lot of fun. And fortunately, I have the opportunity. I'm able to do this because I have an arsenal of guitars and amplifiers, and so that's also something I do enjoy a lot.
Yeah, and maybe when you're playing with some of those guitars, you play something and you see, oh, this goes a different direction. Maybe I like this a little bit more than what I had planned. Does that ever?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. For example, the album before, I I remember I already recorded the rhythm guitars, so the recordings for the rhythm guitars were ready, but then I got a new amplifier, and that amplifier was so good and made me so creative that I redone the rhythm guitars with this new amplifier. And I don't know if you play guitar or anything, but recording rhythm guitars, it takes a lot of time and it's a lot of work. But the sound was so good, so I just redone everything. So I think I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, but it pays off, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So moving back now to the composition process, you were talking a little bit about it. You wanted to make it sound like Whitesnake and Led Zeppelin and things like that. But how exactly are you coming up with these creations and these riffs and everything?
They just float. You know, to me it's very easy to write a classic hard rock song because, like I said, this is the music I grew up with, and
Yeah, it's
and
music you listen to. So,
well, yeah, I did. Nowadays, I don't listen to music anymore, but I listen to podcasts. But during the last 40 years, before I was old, I listened to music a lot. Yeah, and this is just, it's easy to me. It's like it's in my blood. It's in my DNA. So there's really it's not a problem. And I have in my phone, I have 400 guitar riffs, like ideas.
yeah, ideas
Every
for
time I have
guitarists.
an idea, I record it, and I have like 400 of them. And yeah, so there's enough material for the next couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think Voodoo Circle are ending up having 40 albums. I mean, 400 guitar riffs. I mean, 10 songs an album. It's gonna be very productive years. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, man. Black Country, I think it's one of the best songs in the album. Do you wanna talk about a little bit about it? You know, how did you come up with that song specifically?
That's actually, thank you for saying that, because that's also one of my
Hmm.
favorite songs on the album, and probably one of my favorite songs I've ever written. Um, Also because of the whole vibe, the guitar sound, the feel, everything. And then there's also a story behind it, because the area where I grew up is was basically coal mining and steel factories. So I actually grew up in a German part of a black country.
Yeah.
And David Reedman, my singer, he's born and raised in Burnley in England, which is not far from the original black country. And his dad, his father, used to work in the coal mines. So we both grew up in different countries, but we have the same roots with coal mining, steel workers. And so I thought it would be a great idea, a great thing to pay a tribute to his roots and to my roots with this song and the lyrics and the music.
Yeah, man, it was a brilliant idea. And now that we're speaking about David, you just say, I mean, he's singing so well in this album. I mean, it's just incredible. How hard is it for you to, you know, he's a renowned singer. He sang with many more important bands than more renowned bands than Voodoo Circle. How hard is it for you to have him on? I mean, is it hard to work with him or?
No, not at all. It's pretty easy. I mean, we know each other since, I don't know, since the 90s, and we worked together since 2005 or 2006. So that's already a long time.
Yeah, almost 20
And
years.
yeah, and it's always fun whenever I'm ready writing the music. I invite him over here in my studio, and he will sit exactly in this chair, and we will listen to the music here in my studio, and then he will start singing. And while he is singing, I already can hear the next line. It's so great. It's so creative and dynamic. And then when he stops singing, I sing what I have in mind. And so, believe it or not, but we created the melodies for this album in 1.5 days. The,
Yeah, man,
the
that's
complete,
creative.
the whole album. The whole album was done the melodies, not the lyrics, but the melodies. The ideas for melodies were done in 1.5 days. Uh, it's so easy to work with him for me, and it's so much fun. And I know other bands, they send files back and forth, and everyone is on himself. But when it comes to vocals, we work together here in this room.
Yeah, man, it's working really, really well. And I said it's sounding really, really well. Um, now, one thing that I found really, really curious is the story behind the All for One and Billy's song. They were originally written by Tony Carey, and I don't think they were originally written for the Circle. Do you want to tell a little bit of the story about those songs?
Yeah, that's true. We go back to 1992, something like this, early 90s. I was a young man. I was something like 26, 27. And you have to imagine Rainbow live on stage. That's my go-to an island album. If I have to pick one album for the rest of my life, it would be Rainbow live on stage.
Yeah, that's a
And
good pick.
it's a great pick, and it's an amazing album. And on that album, Tony Carey is playing the keyboards. And well, early 90s, I end up in his studio in Bavaria, Germany, and we work on two songs, Billy's song and All for One. And I'm recording the guitars in his studio, and I watch him playing the Hammond. You know, he's shaking the Hammond like John Lord did in the studio. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is really cool. You are 26 and you're working already with Tony Carey of Rainbow, your most favorite band. So it was a great moment, and I remember it very well. And those two songs were then released as bonus tracks on a Sinner album in Japan. And I always thought those two tracks are so good, they deserve more than just being a bonus track. And now we wind forward a couple of years to 2022. 2022, I'm in Berlin at an airport, ready to board an airplane. And right in front of me is Tony Carey in the same airplane. And I haven't seen him ever since that 90s thing. So I tip on his shoulder, and he turns around and he looks at me and he said, Alex. And that's like 30 years ago. And I'm like, yes, you are totally right. And we had a little chit chat, talked a little bit. And after I'm sitting in the airplane looking out of the window, I said to myself, I think the universe just have shown you a sign, because there are those two songs and you always wanted to re-record them and to do something with them. And now you just met Tony. We are on the same airplane. I think the universe is telling you now is the time. And so I decided, while in that airplane, on my way back from Berlin to Frankfurt, to re-record those two songs.
Yeah, and did you make any new arrangements on them? Just a re-recording?
Not at all. I was trying so hard to recreate Tony's work on the Hammond and on the keyboards. I've done that all by myself here, and it took me 2 weeks just to make the intro, to make it as close as I could get to his playing, because he's an expert. He's an outstanding Hammond player, and I'm not. I'm just a guitar player, and I can program my computer, and of course I can play a little bit, but not like him. But that's when I get really tough. That's when that's a challenge like this, then I'm all fired up. I'm digging so deep into these little details and tweaking knobs and stuff. It's totally crazy. But at the end, I'm very happy and pleased with the result.
Yeah, man, it sounds really, really good. Now, which of these songs are you most looking forward to playing live? I mean, your shows are always a blast.
That's always, I have to look at my list here. That's always difficult to make a pick. But we're gonna play. I can tell you, we're gonna play in on this tour. We're gonna play Let It Rock. We're gonna play Lay Down Your Lovin', and the other one. I'm so bad with song titles, man. I'm because I always forget them because I have recorded 2,000 songs.
Yeah.
On the Edge of a Broken Heart. That's those three songs gonna play live, and it's difficult. Of course, I would love to play Black Country and all this stuff, but this is the seventh album, and we already have a best of album, and we have so many classics. They have to be played.
Yeah.
And like I'm telling you, you should listen to the other albums. If you love this album, you're probably gonna like the others as well.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna check them out as soon as I finish this. And so tell me, what are your plans for live shows right now? There's a tour coming up, I think.
Yeah, we play a little tour in November. I think we start November 13, I guess. And what's special on Voodoo Circle compared to other live bands is that we have room to jam and to improvise.
Mhm.
So because that was the initial idea when I started Voodoo Circle, I wanted to have a band which is able to jam on stage and to improvise like the Purple and Rainbow did in the
Yeah.
70s. And that's what to me is the real aspect of being an artist and being creative. Be on stage in front of 100 people or 10,000 or whatever, and just create a special moment which only happens in that moment, you know? And you play another show the next day and it's different. And that makes that keeps you as an artist and musician fresh and alive, and it's fun. And also for the audience, they get a different show every night, and that's something I learned in the clubs. You know, I'm around in the music scene for 40 years now, or
Mhm.
even longer, 45. Jesus, yeah, I'm turning 60 next week, and I learned that in the clubs. You know, when I grew up, in the musically in the 80s, basically, I was playing with my bands in American bars here around Germany. You know, and you had to play 5 hours every night. And so you learn to improvise and to stretch the set, you know. That was a tough school, but I'm very happy I went through this.
Yeah, man, it brought you where you are. You know, it was the base of everything you've built
Yeah,
music-wise, I think.
definitely.
And so far, I don't think there is a Portuguese date for your tour. But you know, if the chance comes, don't waste it. I'd love to see you here, to see your show, and to talk to you personally, man. That would be great.
Yeah, we would love to. Voodoo Circle is on the live side. We always try to hop on a bigger tour, like to support a bigger band, but unfortunately it never happened. Then we had Corona and so that's something I'm not so happy about. But we have a new a booking agent now, and I'm hoping things gonna turn out for the better now.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, as I said, it would be great to have you here. Um, Now, you already talked about the lyrics of the songs that were written after the melodies were made. What does this album talk about lyrically?
I have no idea.
I read to ask David, right?
I have no idea. This is David's part because he's a native English speaker, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to lyrics, this is David's part. To me, honestly, the most important thing is they sound good. I'm a sucker for phonetics. They have to sound good, then I'm fine. I really don't care what he's writing about. He's totally free. But I guess it's about love.
Yeah, as always.
As always.
Yeah, man.
Nothing
And
special.
yeah, and but why did you choose Hail to the King as the name of the album?
Actually, Hail to the King had a different title before. There's also a story behind this. Uh, my working title here in the studio for Hail to the King was actually The Man in Black, meaning Richie Blackmore.
Hmm.
And I asked David to write lyrics, not about love, about Richie Blackmore and his guitar playing, the mystique about him, blah, blah, blah. So David said, oh, yes, 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 yes. So 4 weeks later, I get the final vocals and I'm listening to it, and the verse is great, the bridge is great, and I'm waiting for the chorus for the Man in Black. And then I hear Hail to the King. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute. Wasn't this supposed to be about Richie Blackmore? And yeah, so he changed it to Hail to the King, but the King is still Richie Blackmore in that case
Yeah.
because the song is very rainbowish. And yeah, so I liked the title Hail to the King. And I wanted to have a great t shirt. So the cover makes a great t shirt. That's the reason. Hail to the King and a great t shirt motive.
Yeah, man, and
Pretty
it's
easy.
yeah, it
Pretty.
may be maybe not as straightforward as Men in Black, but still into the King, it still fits. And it reminds me of Kill the King, that classic song from Rainbow as well. So it also fits very, very well.
No surprise.
Yeah. Well, man, you already said that you are about to turn 60, you have 45 years of career. If you had to rate on the albums that you ever played in that's a lot. On which position would Hail to the King be?
Oh, I honestly I can't answer that. That's like asking which of your childs do you like the most.
Yeah.
It's and also the thing is after you finish recording an album and it's released, you don't listen to it anymore.
Mhm.
As a musician, you usually don't listen to it anymore because you already listened to it 2,000 times while recording, and you know every little detail, and it's like you don't listen to your own music, and so it's hard to tell which one I like the most. Most of the time, it's the last one is the one you like the
Yeah.
most
Yeah, that's the most
because it's
obvious answer
it's
there.
the freshest. But honestly, I really can't tell. I really can't tell. I like them all. They are all full of love and details and craftsmanship. I don't know. I can't answer this. Sorry.
Now you already answered, man. Well, Alex, I think that's it. Thank you so much for your time. Would you like to send any message to your Portuguese fans?
Yeah. Tell your promoters to book Voodoo Circle into the clubs and to a tour to Portugal. I would love to come over. I've been in Portugal only 2 times, I guess. Back in the days with Primal Fear and also once with Silent Force. And I have really good memories about the food. And I love seafood. I'm a sucker for seafood. So, yeah, get me back and bring me some great seafood.